Make sure to vote, pass it on to the person going around with the cup.
I did use it.
Oh, you did use it. Oh, so everyone, okay, Brianna, Henry, and Catherine, put your votes in and put them in the cup as it goes around. Mr. Toastmaster. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Jacob. And thank you for changing how I see lobsters. Lobsters are the cockroaches of the sea. We're all going to remember that one for a long time. Thank you so much. So, my fellow Toastmasters and guests, we're moving to another fun part of our meeting, which is the prepared speeches. And for our first speaker, I'll be calling Paul Gorman, and his title of the speech will be Tips for Adding Humor to Your Speeches. Let's give a round of applause to Paul.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
How many of you are here to improve your speaking capabilities? Anybody? Oh, yeah. I thought I was at the right place. Today I want to just offer you a couple of tips on what I think would be of value to each of you in order to improve your capabilities of speaking and help your speeches become more memorable. Now, I'm on the humorous speaking track, and this speech is supposed to be all about how I'm supposed to discover my own sense of humor. What's my humor all about? But I found in I studied this stuff through the Toastmasters book. It does very little to help you to do that. So I did what any well-educated, mature man would do in order to discover what my sense of humor is like. I asked my wife. And without any hesitation, she said, "You have the humor of a 7th grade boy." Now, I thought about that for a minute. I think she's exactly right, because fart jokes, I'm all in. But this afternoon, I want to tell you just a couple of hints about how to make your speeches more memorable. Number one, are they relatable? If your speeches are not relatable, then you have a lot of problems in getting your audience to see the humor in that. They just don't relate. Number two, there's a spectrum of cleanliness from the church clean up through the XXX dirty stuff. I'm not much on the X-rated side. I don't really find that humorous. I used to, because I'm a 7th grade kid, but I used to, but I don't anymore. But you got to find that balance in order to be clean or not. And third, just because I have a particular sense of humor doesn't mean that you do. You're not necessarily going to see something funny that I do. Remember, I'm a 7th grade boy. Let me give you an example. When I reported to Naval Air Station, Pensacola, just a couple of years ago, the drill instructor yelled, "All you guys with big, big egos, now little balls, get in that line, you're jet pilots. All you guys with big balls, little egos, that line, you're helicopter pilots. I'm a helicopter pilot." Now that's not the only difference between helicopter pilots and jet pilots. You've probably seen Tom Cruise and Top Gun movies. They have a swagger, jet pilots. The jets are really fast. The jets are really loud. And so are the pilots. But that's not the only difference. Jets carry small weapons. They have a very short period of time on station. And they're just, now tell me, what woman would want to have a jet pilot when you could have A helicopter pilot. A helicopter approaches the landing spot real slow, real smooth. Kind of like, hey, baby, baby, hey, baby. That's a helicopter pilot. Helicopter pilots have large weapons, last a long time on station, and they can hover too. Okay, let's analyze that for a second. Do I think it's funny? Yeah, I do, because I lived it. I'm familiar with cultures, so I know a little bit about it. Do I think it's funny? Sure, that's why. But I gave that little bit at a comedy club in San Diego, a couple comedy clubs, and it was very successful. I got a lot of laughs because my audience was able to relate to it. That's a military town. There are a lot of jet pilots, helicopter pilots, some of them even in the audience. Success. But then I was asked to give that same bit at a seniors kind of an event where there were a lot of older people, older women, older men. There was one guy in the audience who laughed. Obviously, he was a pilot. But that audience was filled with older ladies. They went berserk. They hated it. I got the hook. And from that I learned, know your demographics, but know your audience a little bit too. So, in conclusion, you gotta have humor that your audience is going to be able to relate to. It's gotta be on the spectrum of church clean to dirty. I recommend if you're going to look at that, err to the side of clean. That's what I prefer. Now, this little bit that I gave was PG-13, okay? But there were some people really offended. Anybody offended here? You must have been. You're not. So anyway, keep it as clean as you can, and be careful not to offend your audience. Know your audience a little bit. And finally, I'll just leave you with this. Do you know the difference between a jet pilot and God? God doesn't think he's a jet pilot.
Thank you so much, Paul. Our next speaker will be speaking with a speech titled Crisis Management. Let's welcome to the lecturer, Kimberly Myrick.
Is anyone here looking forward to their midlife crisis?
Yes.
Yes. I am too, but Google says I only have 2 years left, and I'm running out of ideas. You know, first I thought I would buy red convertible. And I imagined myself driving down the highway with the wind blowing in my hair during rush hour traffic, in Texas heat. And then I thought about all the time it was going to take me to handle my hair from that. And then the insurance premiums. I bought a nice, conservative SUV with great air conditioning. No convertible for me. My son suggested that I go skydiving. I looked at him and said, if I wouldn't let the Army pay me to jump out of a perfectly good airplane, why would I pay someone else to shove me out? Because that's the only way I'm going. And then, one of my more outrageous friends told me I should have a fling with a man half my age. And I pulled up ChatGPT and asked it, what was the likelihood that I would go straight to hell, do not pass purgatory, do not collect $200? Needless to say, No boy toy for me. And I know that Toastmasters has given me a lot of confidence talking to people, but how do you get references for something like that? It's just not happening. Ew. You may wonder why. What is the catalyst that made me so intent on planning? And I can pinpoint it to a week. It was about 25 years ago, and my daughter was in her second week in the ICU. And it was just one thing after another that kept coming up, and I was exhausted, I was frustrated, I didn't know what to do. I put up a sign in her room by Henry Kissinger. There cannot be a crisis next week. My schedule is already full. The staff would come by, chuckle at it, say, "You think that's gonna work?" My 2-year-old couldn't read, I knew that, but apparently her guardian angel could because she got discharged 3 days later. Thank goodness. You know, crises aren't on a schedule. They're rude. They invade us, and they just don't care. They just take over. Like my mother. Well, okay, no, let me explain. This incident that happened with my mother, she was in the hospital. Yes, most of my crises happen in the hospital. And she was actually transferred from the ICU down to critical care unit. They had moved